today approved the terms of the agreement we reached with Babalaki as to settle all the vexed issues surrounding that airport. Now, for the purpose of transparency, may I just mention a couple of the things, that we agreed upon, because this is going to be public knowledge, and then we intend to be very transparent about this. Babalaki was Bi-Courtney, which is Bi-Courtney, had a concession of the airport until in 2003. Presumably first for some number of years and later extended to about 35 years. Now, one of the contentious issues there was that he claimed that the local airport, the other MM1, that local airport was part of the agreement, and so he ought to have also had that local airport along with his own, and so federal government ought not to operate that local airport. After all kinds of back and forth, the Supreme Court agreed with him. And so he won at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said the federal government should hand over that airport, the local airport, to him. And in 2009, as a result of all of the charges and all that the federal government was collecting at that airport that he claimed would deprive him of collecting, the court ordered that the federal government should pay him some 132 billion naira plus interest. From 2009, 132 billion naira plus interest. Again, there was also a clause. This is not the fault of this government, because like I said, some of these agreements were signed, some outrageous agreements. When I came and I saw them, I wondered how certain persons in government sat down and signed these agreements. But of course, government is a continuum. We were stuck with these agreements and we had to find a way out of it. There was also an agreement where they said that he had exclusive rights to run a private airport around Lagos. So no other person could build a private airport around, some radius around Lagos. And so that also puts the Lekki airport in danger. In fact, one of the issues that stalled the Lekki airport to be built by the Lagos state government over the years, because Bi-Courtney claimed that it was a breach of his own agreement that no other person should run a private airport around it. So we sat down to discuss, and frankly, and I told him, write off the 132 billion plus interest. Nobody's going to pay you that. He wrote it off. So Babalaki wrote off the 132 billion outright. The local airports, that is the MM1, I told him, hand it back to the federal government. We cannot leave the entire operations of aviation, local operations in Lagos, which is our heartbeat, to a private individual. Government has to have some kind of control. He agreed with us, and he handed over that local airport back to the federal government. The issue of exclusivity, we also told him that, look, it is not right, even for security reasons, for you to have complete control over the domestic, market in Lagos. He agreed. So that exclusivity clause, we removed it. So these were the concessions made by Bi-Courtney, headed by Babalaki. So we thank him for his patriotism, because we actually made him to make all of those concessions. And we sat there in the spirit of brotherhood, because like I said, we are both members of the INABA, and we understood some of these judgments and how they can play out, and the effect of these judgments. So it was important that we both spoke on this. On the other hand, what did we give to him? The hotel and conference center, you can see the carcass there that has been there for many years. I think it was revoked by Jonathan's government, also I can't remember, Yar'Adua's government. We gave it back to him. It's okay. Complete and run it on a shared basis with the federal. So it's not even exclusive. We are still going to benefit from that, the federal government. So he has 24 months under the new agreement to complete that conference center and hotel, the 5-star hotel, opposite, I'm sure you all know it, opposite the MM2. Complete it and run it within 24 months. And we told him we will not tolerate any delay again. So that place, the whole eyesore there, the uncompleted building will be gone. Let us have a proper hotel, which will also benefit the entire Aerotropolis around there. We agreed to give him back the hotel and conference center. The federal government also agreed to move domestic regional flights to his airport there, to Bi-Courtney's, to the MM2. Because over the years, we had actually agreed for some time now. They had approval to run regional flights from that airport. He had the permission. He had the permission to run regional flights from that airport. And so we are now moving regional flight as much as he can accommodate to that airport. These are just the give and take that we did. And in case it's apron, I think the apron will not be enough to contain some aircraft. We will expand his apron. So instead of giving him that airport, we agreed to expand his apron at MM2. So we're going to expand that apron so that he can have more spaces to park his plane. And then we'll run regional flights from there as much as the place can take. We also, of course, all of this was happening. All this agreement, he was not paying anything on that MM2. Federal government was supposed to be gaining or earning something from the concession. Now with this agreement, immediately after today, the federal government will now begin to earn its own share from the operations of MM2. So at the end of the day, it was a very good deal for everybody. It was back and forth, give and take and give and take. And so he profited and we profited. There are a couple of other things like fuel surcharges and all of that. We are going to have a bigger press conference in Lagos when we are doing the actual signing after this press conference, after this FEC approval. There, he will be there, the MD fan will be there, all other stakeholders will be there, where all the nitty-gritties. Okay, you can ask as many questions at that press conference as possible, where we are going to sign the actual agreement in that regard, because there are other smaller issues concerning the commercial department of FAN, where we are going to review. So that is, in summary, the final resolution of the whole problems regarding MM2. And we thank God that this government found a way out of that long-standing disputes regarding MM2. The second one is a very, very important memo that will be a game changer for the aviation industry. I am sure you know that the major problem of private operators in Nigeria has been access to aircraft, access to equipment. And it is unique. Nigeria is unique because Nigeria is about the only country in the whole of Africa that aviation industry is wholly run by the private sector. So there's no government, national carrier like you have in other countries in Africa, sponsored and paid and then run by the federal federal government. So what is the role? What should be the role of the federal government in this case in Nigeria, where you have whole 100% private sector participation? The only thing we can do as government is to formulate policies, formulate government policies to ensure that the industry grows. And that exactly has been what we have been doing since we came into office. You can see the Cape Town Convention that we signed, the IDERA, and all the other policies we have pushed out as a government that has made our rating, go up so well, both continentally and internationally. We have been applauded for some of these policies. Now, another big one has come today, and the president has graciously approved this. The Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of a Nigeria aircraft leasing company. Now, this will be an SPV that will be wholly run by the private sector, that the private sector will invest in. In fact, we have ready investors already. They are just been waiting for this FEC approval. And of course, backed by government, by which we can get aircraft into the country under one SPV, instead of all the local airlines going all over the world looking for aircraft. And it's tough for them because they are private, companies that don't have sovereign backing, and so it's tough for them. It's always tough for them. I'm sure you see old aircrafts across the country sometimes, and delay, cancellations, and all that. The attitude of this government has been, instead of condemning them and running them down because of these delays and cancellation, while we're trying to hold them to the highest standard, we have a duty as government to also support their businesses with policies. Now, what are we going to do? Now, this SPV, we have, let me not even mention the names here. You're going to hear the names in the next few weeks. Some of the biggest bodies in Africa, financial bodies, who are ready to invest in it, because we have the market, we have the traffic, we have the population, we have the routes. So this is the franchise we are selling to the world. This is the franchise Nigeria has that we're selling to the world. If we don't have money, we have the franchise. And we have the geographical location. So these investors, they know that the aircrafts will boost the market. Most especially when you see that 95% of our traffic in Nigeria they are being, ferried by foreign airlines. That market is a Nigerian market, but fed upon by foreign airlines. We want to tap into that market. The Nigerian airlines, we have to tap into that market and claw some back. And the only way to do that is to make them have access to equipment. That is what the Nigerian Aircraft Leasing Company is about to achieve. So, because they know that we have so many of these AOC holders, commercial airlines that are in need of aircrafts over and over again. In fact, some of these aircraft you see in Nigeria, they come, they stay only 3 months. You won't know. They paint them, come 3 months, they are back again because they are on wet leases. Some, they will sell tickets for some routes. After some time, they cannot pay their premiums on the aircraft. They take the aircraft back. That's why you have delays and cancellations. Now, they have a ready local market now of a company that has enough aircraft to give to them either long-term or short-term basis. What is the role of the federal government here? The federal government's role is just to guarantee the leasers and financiers of repossession of their aircraft. So federal government is not paying one kobo. It's not putting any financial obligation. And for that guarantee, federal government has an equity, MOFI. We have an equity in that company. So federal government is earning money. I'm making money for my brother, Oyedele. He just came out making money for him. Okay, so there we have an equity. Federal government will have an equity in that company. As I speak with you, we're not going around looking for investors. Investors are chasing us now with money. The moment we floated it more than 3 months ago, my phones have not stopped buzzing. And so today they are just waiting for this approval. These investors, both internally and external, especially external investors, they are just waiting for this approval for us to begin to the process of forming this company. So the president directed that I should work with the Minister of Finance, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Minister of Trade and Investment for the configuration of this SPV for us to start. So congratulations to the Nigerian aviation industry. This is a game changer that you will see in the next few months.